Let's talk the cup. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk the cup. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. Hey, it's Cutler here in the Let's Talk the Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk the Cutler virtual book club, the Let's Talk the Cutler YouTube channel. And I'm excited about these 1,800 seconds that we're going to spend together this evening. Why would I say 1,800 seconds? Well, if you've been following me for a while, you know I spend 1,800 seconds every Tuesday and Thursday live, just trying to make sure that I offer some inspirational an inspirational moment, a motivational moment, and try to make sure that I offer something that might challenge us to show up a little bit better today than we did yesterday, something that might help us to be a little more intentional about showing up better tomorrow than we did today. But when all things considered, something that will help us to try to show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations, because we have a whole lot of those situations, a whole lot of those worst case scenarios. But if you're stopping by for the very first time and you're wondering, what is this guy talking about? That's what I'm talking about. Inspiration, motivation, and challenging. Because sometimes your best challenge, well, in my case, my best challenges all of my life have really come from me. Nobody challenges me better than me. And you may find that to be true as well. Nobody really challenges you better than you. We certainly can have external forces and external factors, but when it comes right down to it, you don't really do anything that you don't want to do. So if you really want to be challenged, then you will accept it, because challenging you makes you better than you are. It really, really does. I'm so excited to see so many of you popping on already. And so let me just go ahead and ask people, if this is your first time, please go ahead and subscribe. And once you subscribe, click on the notification bell. It may be down there, up there, over there, over there. Somewhere on your device, you'll find a notification bell. It lets you know whenever I've gone live and whenever I've uploaded new content. And I'll tell you what I'm doing this week. I'm probably just going to have on paraphernalia from my undergraduate institution. I've studied at a few places, but Howard is my undergraduate. You see that? Hold on. Can y'all see that? Howard alumni. Yeah. It's my undergraduate institution. And this past week was homecoming week, and we beat Norfolk State University. Go Howard. HU, you know. I'm excited about that. Never mind me. But I want to talk this evening, when we talk about showing up our best selves, even in the worst of situations. Do you have people who get on your nerves sometimes? Now, I'm not talking about you getting on their nerves, but I'm talking about people who get on your nerves, and people talk out of both sides of their mouths. People can just rub you the wrong way. I want to talk about how to handle that. And you think, Cutler, you're always talking about positive stuff, things that are inspirational and motivational. Well, this is positive. It's going to be a positive spin, because I want to show us how to keep our sanity. Now, if that is a positive, I don't know what is. I want to talk about how to keep your sanity when people are getting on your nerves, when people are talking out of both sides of their mouths, when people are acting funny, and just all kinds of stuff. But before I do, let me shout out the people that I see over in the chat first. It's a lot of you all this evening, but the LTTC VIPs, the people who are first over there, Rach Wide, Bobby Dunmore, Andy Cutler, you all the first three that I see on my end. But again, I want you all to chat with me and talk to me this evening, because I'm really concerned, and this conversation really spins out of some of my frustrations today. Can I tell you all? I have to take my own advice today. I'm going to have to take my own advice probably for the rest of this week. I am pretty much, people who know me, they know that I am pretty much an even-tempered person. My temperament is very consistent, and it really is. Even when people get on my nerves, it's consistent. But that doesn't mean that they don't get on my nerves. My anger is pretty contained. My frustration is pretty contained. But that doesn't mean that people don't get that they don't get on my nerves, because sometimes people do. I would imagine that sometimes I get on people's nerves. So I'm not so disillusioned as to think that that everybody likes me and that I don't necessarily rub anybody the wrong way. I try not to, but I'm not so disillusioned as to think that that is how I'm received by everybody. So then, and I don't want people to think that my even nature should be mistaken as I'm never bothered, I'm never anxious, I'm never annoyed, I'm never upset, because that's not true for me. That is not true for me. There are people, and today is just Tuesday, but there are people who have just sort of rubbed me the wrong way and just annoyed me and annoyed me by adding unnecessary stuff to my plate. My plates are already heavy enough as it is. They're crowded enough as it is, and I don't like for people to add unnecessary stuff to my plate when it didn't have to be added. That's just extra weights that we don't have to carry. And I'm wondering, as I'm saying that, what kind of stuff you have to know what annoys you. You have to know what makes you anxious. You have to know what gets on your nerves. You have to know your triggers. You have to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. But seriously. If you are human beings, something somewhere along this line in life, something somewhere is going to kind of rub you the wrong way, kind of get under your skin, and you have to make a conscious effort about how you process it. Again, I've often said here how how I respond is what matters. All of these are real feelings. All of these are real emotions. Sadness, anger, annoyance, and all of that are human experiences. The human experiences. So I want to talk about that because sometimes you just have to ignore people. Sometimes you have to ignore people, and that's not necessarily a good thing because again, when I talk about it, I'm not talking about being nasty to people. I'm not talking about being rude to people, but sometimes you want to ignore people so that you can just regain your sanity and your peace of mind. Why would you say that, Cutler? Because sometimes learning how to ignore people, learning how to mentally block people, it can give you the peace of mind that you need. And learning how to ignore people, and this is where I want to help us, because sometimes we say that we're learning that we're ignoring people and we're nasty to people. I don't want that to be named among us, but sometimes you have to ignore people to maintain your sanity and your peace of mind. Well, how do I do that, Cutler? Because life is not like a TV. It's not like I can change the channel. If I don't like the bad acting, or if I don't like the plot, if I don't like the storyline, I just can't change the channel and avoid the people. No, you can't do that. It's much harder in real life. It really is. Because a lot of times, the people that you need to ignore, the people that you want to ignore, there are sometimes people that you want to like you. Ignoring people you would think should be an easy task, but it's not always easy, because human nature to some degree says, I want people to like me. I want people to accept me. I want people to embrace me. And that is true. It makes me nervous if I run into somebody who said, no, I don't necessarily want people to like me. No, I don't necessarily want people to care for me. No, I don't care if people, that kind of personality makes me nervous, and it's not a good match for me. I know me. So that kind of personality is not a good match for me. But the strange thing is, a lot of times when we want to disconnect, we seem to be sucked into that relationship, or we seem to be drawn into that, and somehow the more we want to disconnect, the more we are pulled into something. And unfortunately, when we're pulled into something, when we really want to disconnect, it gives room for our negative emotions to really play even more. So you're drawn and you're pulled into something that you really, where you're trying to disconnect. That can turn into hatred, and that's not a good thing. So it is good to disconnect and to ignore before what you're feeling turns into hatred. See, I put a positive spin on that. I want to help us this evening, because that becomes an exhausting emotion. Anger and bitterness and hatred, those are very exhausting emotions, very exhausting ways of being and ways of showing up. I want us to learn how to disconnect from people and just keep right on going. And there are lots of reasons, and many times these are personal reasons in terms of why you want to disconnect from people, why you want to ignore people. There are all kinds of people, but maybe there's a person who's who's just a jerk, and you just realize, you know what, I want to avoid this person at all costs. There are people who are bullies. There are people just downright obnoxious, and you want to avoid them. Well, people, be careful now, because people may think the same thing about you. But I'm saying, generally speaking, there are people that you might want to ignore. There are personality types that you might want to ignore. Personality types that you know that don't really mesh well with you. Like I just said, there's certain personality types that don't mesh well with me. But people who are just jerks, they're obnoxious, and they're bullies, and those kinds of people. And here is when we need to do another inventory of the people who in our lives, because we have people in our lives for different reasons. And sometimes we know we have these kinds of people in our lives, but we keep them around for certain reasons. And I'm not sure why we keep people like this around, but we keep them around for certain reasons. There are people who are just they constantly complain. I mean, they complain about everything: the cat, the dog, the weather, the TV, the car, the house, the food, the clothes. They complain about everything. They're constantly whining, and they make you feel pessimistic. After you hang around them for a long time, you're just gonna just want to hop in bed and cover your head with the pillow, or pull the covers over your head, because you've dealt with this constant whining, and you think, oh my goodness. There are sometimes people that we just need to disconnect from. Disconnect with, disconnect. Just learn how to ignore them and keep on going, because it's good for your own sanity. People who brag all the time, and these are personality types that just don't mesh well with me. They want to brag all the time. They want to be the center of attention all the time. They want to steal the spotlight. No matter what the conversation is, you have a conversation, you talk about, whatever you talk about, they're going to turn the spotlight on them. You can talk about having lost a loved one. They lost 5. Come on. This is not a competition. You want to tell them how you enjoyed your trip out to Vegas. They're going to tell you how they went to Morocco. You want to talk about how you went skiing. They want to tell you how they jumped out of a plane. Come on. People who are just self-centered, they brag all the time. They want to steal the attention at any cost. So you have to decide what personality type does not mesh well with you, and then do yourself a favor and disconnect from that personality type. And there are ways, you all, I need to get to this and get to this very quickly, because there are ways to ignore people without being rude. A lot of times we think ignoring people is a bad thing. It is not a bad thing. I was reading the post earlier today, and that's what made me think about this as well. One, because there were people who got on my nerves, but then I saw this post. It says, for me, the number one focus this week, ignoring people who play both sides. I call this ignoring the ignorant. Ignoring the ignorant. Sometimes you have to ignore the ignorant, you all. Done more right. Always trying to one-up me. There are people who do that. You talk about how you went shopping and you bought this one pair of shoes. They got 25 pair that they need to show you that they bought. It doesn't make sense. But I want to get back to talking about how to ignore people without being rude, because there is a way to do it. We don't have to be nasty to people. When they go low, we go high. You don't have to be nasty to people. Even when I decide to ignore people, I don't want to hurt them. I care about people. Now but I still care about me, and I'm not going to put myself out there to the point of engaging in a connection that is not healthy and helpful and positive for me. I'm not going to do that. But neither am I going to be rude in disconnecting people. I'm not going to do that, because I do care about people. And sometimes they're old acquaintances and old friendships and old relationships, and you just decide, hey, that's what they are. They're old acquaintances, they're old friendships, but I don't need to be rude to them. I just need to move on. I need to disconnect. I need to ignore them. I need to keep going. How can we ignore people, Cutler, without being rude? just don't reach out to them. And you think, well, sir, how in the world are you going to say that's not rude? You just have to remember, we are not obligated to entertain or to engage in friendships with everybody that we meet on this earth. We're not obligated to like everybody. Who can do that? That's unrealistic. To think that you can that you can entertain or that you can engage in fellowship and friendship with everybody that you meet, that you're going to like everybody, that's just so unrealistic. That is so unrealistic. As a matter of fact, and I'm going to share this, you all. Sometimes you have to feel sorry for people like that because they need attention. That is so very true. That is true. Because you all tell me what you think about this. I remember when social media first, and we all probably do, when social media took off and everybody was trying to see how many friends they could get, and they were trying to one up you and make sure if you had 5 friends, they were gonna have 50. If you had 50, they were gonna have 200. If you had 200, they were gonna have 2,000. If you have 2,000, they would have 2 million. I don't know. I don't even know if social media allows you to have 2 million friends, but there were people who were doing that, and then so there were people who would, if they saw you or saw you somewhere, oh, what's your name? And then they would look for you on social media and send you a friend request. Yeah, and that was the very first time you'd ever met them. Or you were in the company of someone who knew someone, and then they would send you a friend request. Do you all remember that? I had people who would send me a friend request, and I would accept the friend request because I knew by relationship who some of these people were. And then when they got in my presence and I spoke to them, they act like they had no idea who I was. Because they were just trying to get their numbers up. Just trying to get their numbers up. So one of the things, I'm telling you, one of the things I ended up doing, when I would run into people and they act like they didn't know me, I would go right back home and just unfriend them. I really would. I would go back home and unfriend them because the whole notion of friend meant something to me. The whole notion of friend meant that there was a common bond. There was something that we had in common, that there was something that connected us. There was a commonality. And if not a commonality, at least there was a cordiality that we had. There was a courtesy that we could exchange because we were at least familiar enough with each other to make sure that there was this courteous exchange. But with social media, people were just sending friend requests for the sake of building their numbers up. And I don't know about you, but I want to be more than a number in somebody's life. I'm okay with people who have lots of friends. I'm okay with being one of the friends who is considered among the lots. I'm fine with that. But know my name when you see me in a crowd. Know who I am when you see me in public. Speak to me, say hi, for goodness sake. But at one point, that's what people were doing. And I just want to remind us that you are not obligated to like everybody that you meet. You're not obligated to become friends with everybody whom you encounter. So stop sending all these friend requests. Now, see, they might not like me for saying this, but stop sending all these friend requests from people who may be a friend of a friend of a friend. Come on. Stop doing that. In fact, I shouldn't say this, but go through your social media account and see how many people you have not heard from in 2 and 3 years, and you still calling them friend. Maybe we need to redefine friends. Maybe we need to redefine friends, because my Southern expression causes me to go to the pitch of my voice and say, "How in the world are you going to call? How in the world are you going to call somebody friend and you have not heard from them in 3 years? How are you going to do that? How are you going to call me friend and I see you in public and you don't speak to me? You barely say hi." Unfriend, unfollow, unfriend, unfollow, delete, do something. Something. Reaching out to people. I'm not going to go off. Cutler, you've already gone off. I'm not going to keep going on this tangent, but I was in the presence of someone and they were friends of mine. Both of them were friends of mine. And they were in each other's company, and I made the assumption that they knew each other because they were friends. They were mutual friends. And I'm talking about mutual friends within the context of social media. So we were together and I walked away because I assumed that they knew each other. And when I walked away and I came back, they were no longer in each other's company. I said, well, that didn't last long. What happened to her? Where did she go? Well, what happened to him? Where did he go? And one of them said, well, you could have introduced us. I said, introduce y'all. Your friends on social media. Are you serious? All right. So listen, stop reaching out to everybody. That's one way. Yeah, somebody said, yeah, I remember I had so many friends on MySpace. I never knew before. MySpace. That's okay. Somebody said MySpace, but Jay Song for you. We're going to let M. Harris talk about MySpace because MySpace was a place where people could have friends and just like all these places. So, and that's fine. But I'm telling you, if you want to learn how to ignore people, one thing, just stop reaching out to everybody. Don't feel the need to reach out to everybody. You see somebody in the supermarket. Oh, what's your link on this particular social media, or who are you? Are you on this social media? Are you on that social media? We say all of that. You just ran into me at the gas station. Don't ask me for my social media account. No. I'm going through the drive-through and you're working there. Don't ask me for my social media account. And don't try to hook up with me at the drive-through either. Just stop that. I decided to throw that one in there. And another way that you can ignore people, you might just try to avoid eye contact as much as possible. You decide, listen, I'm trying to ignore these people, so let me just not make eye contact with anybody. That's a good way to ignore people. I'm talking about learning how to ignore people without being mean and nasty and crass and callous and caustic and all of this kind of stuff. There's a way to healthily ignore people without being rude. And why you're talking about ignoring people, Cutler, because sometimes it's just good for your sanity and your peace of mind. Sometimes you just need to say to people, listen, right now, we don't see eye to eye. Or my life has taken a different turn and I'm busy. You don't necessarily owe them that, but it is a courtesy that if you can handle them, handle it. But there's a way to ignore people without being mean and nasty and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm telling you, but let me get back to this whole online. Block people. Learn to block people. Stop I've seen people argue with folk that they don't even know. Stop doing that. Just learn how to block people. Because who looks crazy when you're arguing with somebody that you don't even know? You tell me who looks crazy. Oh my goodness. Whether you agree with them or not, whether you disagree with them or not, who looks crazy arguing with people that they don't even know on social media? Block people and keep on going. Auntie, I love you. My block game is strong. Yes, it has to be. And learn how to mute people, mute their posts. If people post something and you just want to ignore them in a real subtle way, just learn how to mute them, silence them. Oh, that we could silence some people in real life. You can just peacefully disregard whatever they have to say because you silence them. You can make them invisible on your posts. And Cutler, this is beyond what I know about social media. Well, it may be beyond what you know about social media, but take these words and ask somebody. Ask some of these young folk. They can help you. Some of these older people can help you. They can help you mute people, change the visibility setting, whether you see them or they can see you. You can learn how to filter out their email, send it over to spam. Every time I turn around and send me an email, send it to spam. Block the emails. Block the phone numbers. That's right, Delmore. Oh, that we can do this in real life. Block the phone numbers. When people say, can I tell you all this? Y'all please don't laugh at me and don't bring it up in my face. Don't use it against me. But I'm going to tell you something that I do. I just don't block people Because you know if they call you, you can block them and the number never shows up. But I'm very intentional about it. I'm very intentional about it. I'll change I shouldn't tell you all this. I should not tell you all this. The country part of me came out. Did y'all hear the end of that laughter? That's when you know you're from the South, when something is really, really funny. But let me tell you all this. I just don't block people, but I will change their name to ignore. So I have an ignore 1, ignore 2, ignore 3, ignore 4, because I'm deliberate and intentional, because it reminds me that I blocked or I ignored that. For Rachel says tell it. So I'm telling it. So again, when I block, I just don't block so that you don't show up at all anymore. Whatever your number is, I keep it as well. But I'll change your name to ignore. So there's an ignore 1, ignore 2, ignore 3, ignore 4, ignore 5. So then that way, if that number pops up, I say to myself, there was a reason why I ignored that person. There's a reason why I'm disconnected from that person. Quote Mark Twain, never argue with the idiot. They will bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. Paula D, absolutely. Never argue with an idiot. They will bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. That's what an idiot does. And I often say sometimes, listen, you're not going to argue with me, have me looking like a clown and invite me to your circus. That is not going to happen. Argue with me, have me looking like a clown, and then invite me to your circus. Absolutely not. Jason, for you have an automatic mute button because my attention span is too short. My brain automatically goes on mute. Auntie, I don't do that to you. I don't do that to you. I would not do that to you. But I'm telling you, listen, you all. Learn how to filter out emails. Learn how to send them over to your spam. Y'all have heard me say this, and God knows it's true. I'm just trying to help save somebody's life. I'm trying to help save your sanity, your peace of mind. Just trying to help us. Learn how to block people. Learn how to unfriend people. Learn how to, if you need to, create a social media account, another social media account. I'm telling you. Why, Color? Because a lot of times, and you all know this is true, this is why I say we need to do people inventory every now and then, the same way you do clothing inventory, shoe inventory, excessive junk inventory around your house. We need to do that. Marissa said, Color, what happened? There's people who got on my nerves today. Just adding stuff unnecessarily to my plate. If you know me, especially these days in this season of my life, I have an extremely busy life, and people just started dumping stuff on my plate and dumping stuff on my plate and dumping stuff. And I said, wait a minute, can't you handle that? Or why did you even need to add that stuff to my plate? You didn't have to do that. And it just got on my nerves. Marissa, that's what happened. It just kind of got on my nerves. And so now I'm realizing, you know what? I need to ignore these people. I need to ignore the ignorant. Because there are some people who breed negativity. And you think you're working on a healthy relationship, and maybe from your vantage point, from your perspective, from your situatedness, you're seeking something that's positive. Meanwhile, they're breeding negativity. And sad, but it's true. You can't keep negative people at bay forever. You try to go, you can't keep them at bay forever. Sometimes you've got to deal with them, and dealing with them means that sometimes you just got to ignore them. What does that look like? What does it mean? It means sometimes you just don't talk to them. Sometimes you just need to keep your conversation short. I'm trying to help us, because you don't have to be nasty and rude and crass, but these are things, just keep your conversation short. Don't talk to them. Try to avoid their space. Whenever they're around and you're around, sometimes in the same workplace, stay busy, stay from among them. If it's in a workplace, in a school place, sometimes you need to get some sort of buffer between you and them. I'm just trying to help us. Sometimes your cell phone can be your best friend. They're walking your way and you just say, oh, hey, listen, I just wanted to check so. You don't have anybody on this phone. You don't have anybody on this phone, but when they're coming your way, you just pick up your phone and just start talking. Hey, hello. Yeah, sure did. Cutler, you are crazy. I know you all haven't seen this side of me in a long time, or maybe ever. I'm just telling you all. Marissa says, I'm a great tuna out. I think that's wonderful. It's a great skill to have. So use your phone. Make yourself look busy. Wear headphones. And you don't have to be listening to anything. Just sing along like you have a whole orchestra in your ear. Sing along like you have a whole choir, a whole orchestra in your ear. Put your headphones on, put your AirPods, and keep right on going. I say headphones, now y'all know this old. Either the headphones or AirPods, whatever it is, just plug something in your ear and just keep on going. Just keep on going. And then stop. I have to go, you all. I have to go. But stop making these people that you are trying to ignore the topic of your conversation, because by making them the topic of your conversation, you are not ignoring them, but you're connecting more and more to them. Stop making these people the topic of your conversation. The goal is to move beyond and to move on. Not connect. Dumbo said just lying. I'm not lying if I'm just picking up the phone and say hello. I didn't say, excuse me a minute, I'm talking to somebody. I didn't say that. I just say hello. Listen, you all. I have enjoyed this conversation. I hope you all have as well. Because sometimes I want you to think about it. The next time you see somebody that you need to ignore, you ought to think about what Cutler said. Everybody's not good for my peace of mind. I need to try some evasive maneuvers. I need to try something that's going to eventually lead to my peace, my sanity, my senility. I want you all to keep doing what you do. I got to go. It's been over 1,800 seconds. I got to get up out of here. But do me a favor. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Let's stay safe. Let's stay sane. Let's keep our heads up. Let's keep our hopes up, and know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. And until the next time we get together like this, please remind somebody, tell somebody, come on and let's talk to Cutler. I'll see you the next time I see you. Good night, everybody.